Hello everyone, I'm Alex and welcome back to another video. Now you may have noticed that recently I've been at an event called VidCon, which is a video convention where we talk about YouTube videos. And now I'm making one on the convention about videos, so what comes around goes around. Now, I went to a panel yesterday because there are people talking, there's a lot of people talking, and it's interesting to me. I want to see what people have to say, what people are on about. I ended up going to the panel about abuse online targeted at women. Now, I get abused a bit online, just a bit, ever so slightly. Normally people, they're not that harsh. They're quite harsh, actually. They let me cry a lot. But, it's one of those things where I was looking at it and I was thinking, this is interesting, different perspective, same shit. Let's see what they have to say. Now, the panel was very interesting, obviously, otherwise I wouldn't be making this video. Now, I was sat at the back, right at the back, is my perspective on it, as you can see. I'm quite clearly very far away, mainly because I was scared of the fact that if I cheered or something, I'd be kicked out of the event.
Hello everyone, I'm Alex.
Fuck you, Chris Sargon, you're a Nazi. That's it, this video's changed. I really like Anita Sarkeesian, everything she said was great. Fuck you, Chris, go away. Chris Sargon's a knobhead. Everything I was going to say about him is now removed. So, as you see, Chris Sargon just walked in. He was there. He was at the front of this area. Meanwhile, I stayed at the back, away from people like him. And they were just sat there. It was him, Sargon, Bunty, that group of people. The anti-SJWs, I suppose you call them. Also known as people who have a different opinion. So they're sat there at the front of the panel, just dead quiet. We're all super quiet. We're just waiting, and the panel starts, and they're introducing it. They talk about what they're going to be talking about, obviously, because that's what you do at a panel. Now, it starts off fine, actually. They were introducing stuff, and I was going, yeah, I understand this. It's going to be interesting. Going to get a new perspective on stuff that I deal with, and hopefully I'm going to learn about something. Now, they're talking about abuse online. I think that's pretty key. Abuse online. But as they're introducing the panel, and they're talking about people like that, this happens.
Hi hamster, I love you too.
This dude who are making these dumbass videos that just say the same shit over and over again. And like, I hate to give you attention because you're a garbage human.
Anita goes out of her way to target an audience member who just so happens to be Sargon of Akkad. She decides to point out the fact that he is a garbage human being. Now, when you turn up to a panel that you've paid hundreds of dollars for, I don't think it matters whether you're a YouTuber who people know or someone like that, but if you turn up to a panel to listen, I don't feel like on a panel about abuse online, you should target somebody online for their abuse just because they're in the front row. I mean, that seems pretty backwards to me. Hypocrisy is a wonderful thing, and that was pretty incredible to see go down with my own two eyes. I'm sat there thinking, what? Excuse me? This is abuse online, and you've seen somebody from the online world, and now you're chucking him abuse. Do you understand how this kind of makes you look like whiny cunts? And what annoyed me the most is the fact that we were all dead quiet. Nobody had said a thing thus far, but the panelists went out of their way, specifically Anita Sarkeesian, to target somebody just because they didn't like what they said online. But it kind of escalates from there, because they go on doing the panel, they're talking about abuse online, and they kind of stop firing pot shots at people just sat in the crowd listening. And then they go to ask questions, because there is actually a section where we could talk back, which obviously we couldn't do when we just sat in the crowd. So, JoeySalads, out of all people, gets up and walks towards the question area. Thinking, okay, Joey, I wonder what you're going to say here. I was very interested, as you saw from that previous video clip. I was anticipating the worst, to say the least. And Joey goes up there and he's saying, oh, but don't you realise that abuse goes both ways? Like, men get abused online too? Now, I understand his point, but the panel was about women specifically, so that's allowed. In the same way, I'm sure if you wanted to, you could do a men's one. But I feel like the main point he was trying to make, which is the one that I got, was everything they said was universal. It was not women specific. I didn't learn anything new. So that I get called ugly? Same. Read the comments on this video, unless I disable them, because the best part is, They then go on to say, oh yeah, I really want to have a discussion with people who are talking online, but do you know what? The block button's a wonderful tool, and I didn't really feel like that was a great example to set. If somebody disagrees with you, and it slightly hurts your feelings because they're not thinking like you, like Sargon, who then gets picked out of the crowd, oh, just block them. Don't talk to these people. They're garbage human beings. Therefore, there's no point in listening to what they have to say, which is incredibly backwards. Because you're basically just saying, oh, I'll just create myself a safe space, and everything I say does not need consequence. Which is awfully useful. So, if anybody complains about this video, especially people from the panel, I just want you to know, I will be using the block button, because I don't want my safe space ruined, and if I see you at VidCon, I will call you garbage human beings. Please leave me alone, don't hurt my feelings, I want to enjoy LA. Now, how backwards would that be? We're all here, in the flesh, we could talk to people, we turned up to a panel to listen, and we treated as if we're extreme outsiders. I didn't pay my $200 for that. I didn't fly over here for all that fucking money and time just to be treated like I'm somebody who's a garbage human being who shouldn't be listened to just because of the fact that we disagreed on a few things. I'm not a big fan of that, VidCon. I'm not a big fan of the fact that those panelists who are representing the event were allowed to do that. So Joey's gone up there, and obviously he's asked a question about the fact that it's very much equal shared, and the first thing they do is this.
I have a serious question for everybody up there. Why do you guys act like only women face harassment online?
Wrong!
You guys constantly feed the trolls. And look, the majority of the people here are they're trolls because they like to see you freak out about it, and that's exactly what you guys are doing. You're feeding trolls.
Even your language, like freak out about, like no.
See, you're just mocking me. You're just mocking me. I'm asking serious questions.
That's not to say that no other communities face harassment.
See, you're harassing me right now when I'm asking you. And now look,
Next question.
I can't even answer damn question. It's not only women that get harassed, okay? It's men as well. Nobody's making that argument.
That's fine, and you know what, dude? When there's a panel talking about that, we'll talk about that, but that's not what we're talking about here today. So it's not like no one can ever talk about anything other than this. No one on this panel said that. So.
Flip to a question, please.
They didn't like the fact that Joey was talking about the fact that they were giving people the reaction they wanted because there were trolls in the crowd. And even if there were trolls in the crowd, which undoubtedly they are, not everybody who turns up to that panel wanted to listen. There were people dressed in masks and shit. Fucked up people turning up to a panel that's meant to be talking about something that we could actually have a chance to listen. And there were people there who probably wanted to ruin it. But the front row weren't there to do that. I've had them in my house. I've been talking to them. The Chris Reagans, the Sargons, the Bunty Kings, and they generally wanted to hear what was there to be said, not to be treated as if they were there to ruin something. So Joey makes that point saying maybe if you didn't overreact or do panels about harassment, less people would harass you. Because that's normally the best way you deal with something. Trust me, if it's something you don't want happening on your YouTube channel or on your Twitter feed, you never reply, you always ignore. Obviously, I don't feel like we have to go through that, but the sad truth is, that's how it is. You're never going to combat that. People are dicks, and they will be dicks, and that's never going to stop, and no panel at VidCon is going to change that. But Joey says one thing problematic, and they're trying to take the microphone away from him. The guy wasn't exactly being too much of a knobhead. In my opinion, he was pretty level-headed. I mean, when Joey walks away, he's pointing and screaming about the fact that they won't let him answer the question. And then he shook my hand, so it was nice meeting you, Joey, doing God's work. But the fact that they were cutting everybody off, it wasn't just Joey. Because a lot of people are like, oh, well, Joey, you know, it's JoeySalads, so you can understand why they took the microphone away from him. There was one guy who went up who was physically trembling, couldn't finish his sentence, and throughout the time he was talking, they were going, oh, we can't hear you, speak up. We can't hear you. And not in an encouraging way. In my opinion, they didn't seem to like the fact that he wanted to ask questions about what they were saying. They didn't like the fact that people were there to question what they were going for. I suppose I just didn't expect people in real life to turn up and do what they do on the internet. At a video convention from people from the internet. So I thought it was incredibly interesting, really. The fact that they were cutting people off left, right and centre. They were saying to anybody who they didn't like that they had to stop asking questions and that they would pick somebody out of the crowd just to mock them and insult them. And a lot of people are saying, oh, it seems very whiny that Sargon's complaining about this. He was sending so many tweets out last night, hundreds of them. But for me, he's only doing that because he wants to prove the point that they do it, and it's okay, they get a panel at the event. But when Sargon does it, it's not taken seriously because he's meant to basically just take it because he's dealt out too. Doesn't that seem a bit hypocritical? I feel like it's one rule for them and one different rule for everyone else. And that's the point that Sargon's trying to prove. I'm amazed that people didn't seem to get that one. It's pretty fucking obvious. And every man who went up to ask a question was played off as a troll. That's one word they were very good with using. But nobody was saying anything that was remotely trolly. I mean, Anna's here. Did anybody say anything that was like remotely offensive in any way, shape or form? No. Exactly. And she's a woman, so that means I could use that. I could use that as 100% evidence. Yeah, nobody was saying anything that was remotely annoying or stupid. Some people could barely even talk because they were scared that they were going to get kicked off the panel. And it seemed like every man who asked a question about the thing, it was almost seen as like, oh, you don't get it because you're a man. Meanwhile, I'm sat there going, I have a YouTube channel and I get all of this. This makes total sense to me. Why are you acting like these people aren't aware? It seems very backwards. Overall, it's sad that we turned up to a panel with a bunch of people who go at it online, go back and forth, and they turn up to a panel specifically about that, pretty much, and they flip it into that. It was regressive, it was pointless, and it was honestly just embarrassing, and incredibly pathetic. Thanks for watching this video. Hopefully you'll see me at VidCon if you're around. If you do, and you don't like me, I will be in real life blocking people, so please don't come and talk to me. But, yeah, thanks for watching, people. Come say hello, and hopefully there's no more panels where the creators talk about abuse and then harass people in the audience, because that would just kind of make sense. Peace out, people, and have a good day. There you go. Outro music plays.